大家好. Hello, everybody. Today, I'd like to talk to you about artificial imagination, or as we call it, AI and the metaverse. You know, I have been involved with virtual reality for a long, long time. My first work on VR was back in 1997 with something called VRML. At that time, everybody was trying to replicate reality as best as possible. But I had a different idea. If this is virtual, why do we need to replicate what we already have? So I decided to replicate what we don't have. So I started naturally with art. Why not? Can I enter inside a painting? Can I experience the world of an artist? So here you have two paintings, one by David Hockney and one by Giorgio de Chirico, in which I tried back in 1997 to enter inside of it. Please excuse the graphics. They're very, very old. Then I start thinking, questioning the idea of vision. Why do I need to follow the rules of physics? I mean, I'm in a virtual world. Why not reverse vision? Make many, many eyes, be a cubist, have the rays, instead of being straight, they go like this way. What would that world look like? Do we know? Of course not. So I decided to make it happen. So here's a few versions of a building as we see it through different lenses. Again, the building is the same, the one in the middle. It doesn't change. It's the eyes who are changing every time. So inside, my eyes are like curvy, then my eyes are wavy, then the rays are going a different way, then everything is inside out, and that's what you're seeing here. But here's the big question. Where does AI come into this? I mean, AI, as we already know, is something mental, right? And the metaverse is something visual. How do you connect these two things? How do we incorporate the mental part of the world to make aesthetics more interesting? The answer is very simple. Storytelling. So what I did is I developed an automatic storytelling system to create plots, stories, scenarios. And you can see the system here uses agents that are moving around inside the space, and as they interact with one another, they create stories. There are, inside this world, there are relationships, there's events, strange situations, which are all described in text. And then I take this text and they're transformed into metaverse plots. So I thought, this is not a bad idea. Why don't we just generalize it, make it bigger? So I developed a laboratory called the Permutation Design Lab, or in Chinese, 沙商西洋式. What we do in this lab is that we use permutations to make the impossible possible. What do I mean by that? Here, for example, is a building, or should I say a series of buildings. So instead of taking one building, we make billions of buildings. Or should I say we make all possible buildings, and then we choose the best one. So, for example, you can see here, there is the skeleton and the skin and the relationships in the building, as well as all the geometries and everything related to the building. But this could be anything. It could be buildings, like this. It could be puzzles. It could be music. It could be fashion, anything that is combinatorial. So I worked together with my colleagues at the university, at the Tongji University, to make objects, designs, and scenarios of spaces. Here, for example, is the work of my colleague and friend Janjuji at Tongji and his company Endless Form, where furniture is created through permutations by changing the parameters and making all possible chairs. Here's the work of my other colleague at Tongji Design and Innovation School, Hong Tao Cho is his name, where he uses bamboo to bend and change things to make his sculptures. So we start taking all the possible ways by exploring all the universe of possible sculptures that he can make. Now imagine if we use quantum computing, what we can do, huh? So finally, I'd like to finish with a great opportunity that I had to work with kids and to teach them AI. And we call it Kids AID. So with my, the D stands for design, actually. And so with my colleagues from the Tongji Fab Lab, we have created workshops for kids, 5 to 10 years old, and where we teach them code, of course, but also puzzles, games, but most importantly, we teach them a different way of thinking through logic behind AI, through myths, I'm Greek actually, paradoxes, anecdotes, memes, or anything that would make them think differently. Actually, to think like artificial imagination. So for example, the kids in our class, they produce their own art, AI art, and then we take this art and we project it to the windows. And that way, for example, in the future when there's no drivers in a car, the whole family can sit inside the car and experience their own kids moving through their own painting. The question is, why would we have to look in an ugly world out there when we can live inside a beautiful artificial imagination world? Thank you. 谢谢你。
谢谢特斯迪斯教授 ，Thank you very much, sir。谢谢他今天呢能够来到现场，为我们分享了他作为人工智能算法专家，在元宇宙的虚拟现实空间当中，对于建筑设计的探索，也让我们见证了虚拟建筑和现实的空间以及智能科学与艺术设计在不同维度当中的无界融合。